Ingrid,
Yeah.
can you please tell me how your experiences have shaped the person you are today?
Well, they have shaped me totally. I think everyone's experience shapes you, and the more experiences you have, the more uh, I I believe um, the more rounded person you become, because you can empathize, and I think you can um, feel with people the more you have seen in your life. If you live a sheltered, happy existence, I feel sorry for people, especially women, that live totally sheltered in their little cocoon. And I don't think they ever become, um, they know their full potential because they live so sheltered. They never have any way of feeling um, despair or joy, because out of despair, experience, things happen, and all of a sudden you become joyous because something very small happens. And I think if you don't have the experiences of, if you're too sheltered, if you live a sheltered life, you cannot really feel anything more than your own, then everything is a tragedy. You don't find the right lipstick, it's a big tragedy. Somebody wears the same dress as you, it's a big tragedy. Because I think human life needs the ups and downs. I think everyone, a human person needs different experiences in order to have empathy with others, feel with others, know what it feels like to be hungry and to, get a piece of bread, the joy of getting a piece of bread and having another day that you are not quite as hungry. I think that all of that shapes you. All of that makes your life um, full, really. And if you live a sheltered life, you can't. What can you refer to? So I think it's very important to really have let our children experience a little. All of these laws that you can't step here because then you can sue someone if there isn't a rail, or all of these things that try to keep you safe. I don't think really they keep you safe, sure, at this moment, but still, I think you need to experience, you need to look out for yourself. You need to walk on a path that doesn't have a rail, so you know you have to look out for yourself. You have to look out that you don't step off the side. You know what I mean? You know what that is. So I think we here in the United States, you're much too sheltered. A lot of women. There are a lot of women who go out and really work and have to do the I don't mean just working in a job, but keep a house together, a home together. And so I think there are a lot of women that need that have to do that. But then there's a group that just is, can't, people say, oh, they're so shallow. Well, they're shallow because they've never experienced anything, and society hasn't let them experience, or they've been sheltered. So anyway, there's my piece of philosophy.
And about war? Told me
Never, 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 never. Because war, I think, always can be solved with diplomacy, with talking it out, with they say, oh yeah, we had to take down Hitler. Shh. You didn't have to go to war. You go to war because there's unemployment, you need to build cannons to make people work, you need to rally them to stick together around a flag or whatever. But it doesn't solve anything, because from that war it goes 2 years later, you have another war, and then you have another war. And what really, the men that start war is that little group of old men who sit together and never send their children into a battle, they never go. And I don't see any twin girls sitting on a tank moving into Baghdad. They go from bar to bar and stick their tongue out when the reporters shoot them. I mean, why aren't they out there? And
Pause real quick. Okay.
and so I I always say my son, my grandson, will never, never, never go to war because I gave. My contribution was there. So that thought there. No, because you see who suffers. Like, you know, in my case, all those women and children that froze to death on the ice in East Prussia, that died being raped to death in Königsberg, that were trampled, run over by tanks as they were trying to flee, and those that made it, that were taken to Siberia on trains, were taken from their children. You know, there is in East Prussia, years later, they discovered a group of men and women they now call the Wolfskinder, wolf's children. Those were the ones that were small, 2, 3 years old, 5, 6 years old. Their mothers died in the snow, and the children had to fend for themselves. And they were taken in by some Lithuanian farmers. Many of them, once the Soviet Union collapsed, many of them then were trying to find out who they were. And because they didn't remember their name, they were too small. And they were taken in, a lot of them by Lithuanian farmers, by Polish farmers. And those were the people that paid for the insanity of a war. And it's not Göring's daughter who said somewhere in a bunker, she was the same age, but she was somewhere in a bunker with her mother and came out, and I mean, you can't blame her for it, but what I'm saying is it's not the people that are the warmongers. I guess Goebbels' children paid because his wife and he poisoned them.
Purple?
Goebbels, yeah, the minister of propaganda. They poisoned their children, gave them poison in the bunker. But it's all of those, the children, the women, the men, the young boys that have to go to war. And really, 10 years later, you sit back and you say, for what? For what? Vietnam. What did all those young guys die for? For what? Iraq. What did those 2,000 young men die for? For what? Democracy in Iraq? Study history. Look back. What is democracy? What are we doing? And it's not just the American soldiers, but all the civilians that get hurt. All those thousands and thousands and thousands of civilians that get hurt forever. Someone loses a leg, it doesn't grow back. The war is long over, people forgot about it, and the man still jumps only on one leg. It's an insanity, and we're not civilized to do wars, go on wars. And I would never, ever, ever, ever participate. I'm telling my son, never, ever, ever go to war. And my grandson the same. He's getting brainwashed. If your country starts a war, go somewhere else. Move to another country. Don't go. Because it is the most useless stuff, because, what is it for? And women do a lot of suffering, no matter how enthusiastic they are about the regime. There comes a time when all of a sudden you see another light, and you figure out it's why being too enthusiastic about an ideal really is. And what's good for you may not be good for someone else. May not be the right thing for another culture. You can't force your own culture and your own ideas on another person or another country. It's not right either to force yourself or your ideas. You can show them, but don't force them. Don't force your culture on someone else. So, all right, my dear.
Another question that you've already told me I'll take, but I thought of your answer. Why did you decide to do this interview with me?
Well, I just thought it helps me. And I think it needs to be said, needs to be told. Is that what I put? It needs to be told. You can, there are a lot of stories to every situation, and lots of people have different experiences, and it needs to be told. It doesn't need to be just one-sided. There's many different facets in life, and that is what you do. You take a lot of different people. Some of my friends who lived in Germany all through, in the Reich, the area, they really didn't experience very much of the war. So maybe they lost a husband or a father, or a brother, but those are, they're painful, but we really paid, and I think it needs to be told. And I need to say that, and I need to say that for myself as well. Get it out. Read book. I'm gonna read some more. You encouraged me.
Okay, I want you to. I'll type it.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything else?
No, I think I talk a lot, do I not?
Thank you so much. I know how hard it is, and it really helped me understand a lot of things, coming from an outsider's perspective, I think. And it's going to be great for the collection.
Good.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad. I'm glad. And if you have any questions, just, if you hear it, there's anything
Oh, I'm going to hear it.
unclear,
Yes.
if I can, I'll clear it up for you.
Yes.
Because, sometimes things you try to memorize, but, to see when I talk to you, to me it's, when I tell you of an experience, to me it's all of a sudden like a movie. And in my mind, pictures come back, and it's like I see, in my mind I see things. Although I look at picture here on the wall, but it's in my mind I see things. And so if you have, and maybe, some of the things, come back